Hello. How's it going? Let me move my microphone a little closer. Sorry, I might bonk it. Let me put it right there. How are you guys? Okay, I put this on now because I'm not using a separating zipper on it, so I had to pull it over my head. So, but when I take it off, I'm just gonna undo the pin at the bottom. It's really hard to get the zipper head on there when it's zipper by the yard like this. Like, see. So I just have like raw zipper right there. Hola! Anyway, I wanted to show you. This is the Kelly with no adjustments. Oh, except of the pinning. I pinned the heck out of the hood, which actually feels really good right now. Let me see. I also have the hem pinned up a lot. See. I know I've said this before, but and it's funny. I saw on TikTok there's this like, I'm hardly ever on there, but I saw people talking about this inverted filter on there and how uncomfortable it makes people to see themselves inverted. That's what I'm always looking at. So the way you see the video is the way everyone sees me when I'm walking around. Like they look at me that way. But that's not the way I see myself. I see myself in a mirror ever. So when I'm trying to reach for something and I'm reaching for the wrong side, it's because I'm used to this being my, like on the screen, that would be my left hand. Anyway, that's why I'm always fumbling. So yeah, I'm going to take this off and put it on my form so you can look at it a little better. But this is the Anorak, and I cut out. So if you're going to cut this out, hi Ray, hi Allison, how's it going? So if you're going to cut this out and just sew a muslin or prototype. Now I am doing the lined version, and so the pieces are slightly different. So if you're only going to want to sew the minimum amount to get a good test fit, you want both your hood pieces, your front yokes, your fronts, your back, and your sleeves. And that's it. That's all I have here. So I don't have the like over yoke in the back, and I don't have any pockets. I don't have anything. But I did do the full zipper thing here, and oh boy, those instructions were very challenging. So but this is all raw. This edge is raw. And then I pinned the heck out of the hood to get it to fit because I really want. So this isn't a technical jacket. It's a casual jacket. So I'm not expecting it to be like a. I cannot look at myself in the camera and zip this up. I have to look down. If you, I just want to be able to go like this and then the hood not obscure, because the hood came down like this. And every time I saw people wearing it, I thought, oof, I hope I can adjust that hood. And this was really easy. I'll also show you what I did. Basically all I'm going to do is slash and overlap. And then take out a few little things. So, but I do have a lot of changes I want to do. I'm going to add to the back hip across here. And I think I'm going to take out that over yoke in the back. So there's this yoke back here. And it's interesting after, there's no back picture. There's no back picture. So, I don't have an overhead camera on. Yeah, it feels great. It feels really great. So back here, there is this yoke piece. I actually did not know that this is also a fake thing. So you fake in that the pleat is just there for decoration, which is cool. But I'm not sure I want the pleat because I want to waterproof it, and I think that'll make the waterproofing a little challenging. And the pleat doesn't do anything functionally. So what I might do is just put a seam back here, like a real yoke back there. And then maybe put a pleat coming down. But I'm not sure. I don't think I will. I'm just going to add to the back hip by doing that though. So that's one of the things. So my fit concerns, I feel like I'm fine with this, except that I'm going to add a lift to the sleeve. Because right now it fits me great. And I don't have the lining in yet, and it's not covered in wax. You got me on mute. How's it going, Sydney? I do that too. I'm always muting things before people walk in. The sleeve is totally different on the line version. Is it? Is it that there's no cuff? That's what it is, isn't it? Well, it's the same sketch. Oh, I see. There's a little, right? Oh yeah. I like the cuff on this one better. But yeah, I think that that's interesting. I don't know why they would change that, because it's totally possible to line a sleeve like that. I've done it a few times. Unless that has a placket, then it gets a little trickier. But it's not. You just put at Allison. Hey Jan, how's it going? Nice to see you. There's no cuff. Oh, okay, and it's bigger. The sleeve expansion is only, I mean, the lining expansion, Allison, is only $8, and you could just use the sleeves from it. So there's that. But, or you could just get rid of the cuff. Just take it down to where you want and then hem it. That's all. That's all you would have to do. You wouldn't even have to buy the $8 expansion. I am waxing. Not this. This is just a prototype. Oh, you know what, Allison? You're right. It doesn't work on my phone either. My hairs are all like right here and they're driving me crazy. I'm gonna take this off in a second, but I just wanted to give you a few minutes to see how it looks on me. So this whole like gap I was getting there, you know what? I was just overreacting. I didn't, and see, look at how much further it comes out on my shoulders compared to the dress form, because there's no sleeve on my dress form, and I forget that. I totally forget that. I'm not very practiced in draping. It's been years. But you want to keep the cuff. Oh, I see what you're saying, Allison. I know, I like the cuff too. So, Allison, is the cuff open and close? Let me look at it. I actually think it'd be really easy to do. So, wait, let's see. Let me look at it really quick. Oh, it has an extension. Okay. Why wouldn't you? Well, I mean, you could take a chance and cut the same sleeves from this one. Cut the sleeves from your original one and then cut two. Like cut two and then cut two of lining. And then do the whole sleeve construction and treat the lining, like sew your lining together and then put it against the interior of your outer sleeve and then treat it all as one for the cuff. And then just do the sewing instructions for the cuff at the bottom. You know what I mean? I think all you need to do, if I'm not mistaken, because I haven't looked at how this is sewn, is just do the sleeve panel to the outer sleeve. And then same with your outer sleeve. Ugh. So your lining, put your lining pieces together of each sleeve, and then put your sleeve, outer fabric pieces together, sleeve, and then put them in one inside the other, wrong sides together, and then just treat it as one at the bottom, and then you can have your cut. Yeah. Yeah. I miss all your names being different colors, and I don't know why. Why it doesn't even show me your pictures anymore. It used to have like, well, it doesn't show me your pictures. It shows it on, oh, pop-out chat. What the heck is that? Pop-out chat? Pop out. Okay, yeah, Allison. I like the cuff too. I guess, I could have probably done that. I'm doing so many modifications. Are you talking about the sleeve? There is snaps on the sleeve on the original version, Penny. Penny, I was going to send you a message today because remember how you kind of encouraged me. You were like the last person that made me go, okay, I do need to do the video about the Juki. And then I noticed that I took screenshots of all the things you told me that you wanted in your Juki video. I love that I'm sitting here wearing this, talking about this. And I didn't do any of the things you asked for. Sorry. You wanted like help adjusting tension and where to get bobbins. I didn't mention any of that stuff. But I'd buy bobbins from wherever you got your Juki. Or and buy a bunch. You'll always need them. Buy an extra bobbin case while you're at it and an extra throat plate. Just go for broke and get a screwdriver to remove your throat plate. Just get all that at one time. Okay. Hi Charlie, how's it going? Oh, you're not. You never need to apologize. Oh, you mean on the front? Oh, there are snaps on the front. So, you mean right here? Yeah, there's snaps for that. This whole thing has snaps. Oh my god. Well, good. You liked the video I saw, so I'm glad I got some things covered for you. Yeah, so there are snaps all the way down the front. Yeah, what was for dinner? Okay, I'm going to take this off now and put it on my dress form. Ow, that was my hair. I didn't want to have to put it on in front of you guys. Oh, there goes the zipper. Okay, so let's look at, oh, I've been shouting at you guys, sorry. My sweater's inside. Yes, they did, Ray. I feel a little ruffled. Oh my gosh. Charlie, that sounds amazing. What is going on? I mean, my hair is never very neat, I know. I don't care that much. I'm sure it shows. Why am I looking at the camera? Because I cannot see my left and right hand. I don't know why I was doing that. Okay. Let's just put this on my dress form. Okay. Let me get this is the type of thing, the zipper slider. You step on this and you'd go, your foot would just slide out from under you. How do I know that? Okay. I just told my husband the other day, I was like, so how do you feel about masking up, doing all the protocols, and going to Barnes & Noble and looking through the cookbook section and each getting a new cookbook? He was like, yeah, okay. He's like, or maybe I could open the cookbooks we have here and just get re-inspired since we have so many. And I was like, well, yeah, I can do that too. Okay. So we'll see how it is on my dress form. So this is the thing to note. I have a custom dress form, but I have to get used to how things fit the dress form compared to how they fit me. So this is something I'm getting used to. And my dress form is just it's a little different. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm soft and breathing and moving, and the dress form is so static and stiff. So it can feel a little different. Oh my gosh, Ray. So my idea for, I have two ideas I think for apps that would be successful, and I just haven't found them. And one of them is one that compile, like, so I don't know, I talk about Ravelry, but Ravelry has this really amazing feature where you can put in your books that you have, all your knitting, crochet, fiber related books. And all of it is cached and stored. All the patterns are in there. You don't actually like scan in the contents. You just find the book in the registered list of books, and then it knows all the patterns in there, and it ends up being like a database. So then if you're like, okay, I want to use this yarn in this size gauge, what do I have of the patterns I own that would work for it? And it would tell you every pattern you have, even if ones you've never even noticed in a book you own. And that's what I want for a cookbook thing. Pinch of yum, that's awesome. Hi Nancy, nice to see you. Something small. You're the one who brought it up, Ray. You're the one who said 500. Okay, so All right, so here we are. See how it falls off the shoulders here? I didn't really like that, and it looked gaping. So maybe my shoulders go a little further out than I'm realizing. But see, the thing is, if there was an arm in here, it would be like this, right? So it would be better. Oh my God, that sounds so good, Penny. I know, you're talking to us, right? I see you. Okay, so I have a lot of changes I'd like to make today. I'm going to, I think, add a lift in the sleeve. This is something, I feel like it's like weird, some weird little, like, people think I'm holding on to this weird little secret about this. Oh, you did, Nancy. I've shown you guys how I do this online a few times. And I've mentioned it like on people's posts on Instagram. I'll be like, oh, you could just add a sleeve lift. And people are like, wait, what's that? Like it's some mysterious thing. And it's not. It's like, it's the equivalent of adding a gusset here, but I'm going to add it to the pieces. And then what it does is it allows me to lift my arm up further without adding to the armhole as far as like slashing and spreading the sleeve or adding to the bicep. It just allows me to raise this up. So if you just imagine there being like extra here, right? Like an inch and an inch, that would give me 2 inches. Now, you don't do this on everything because it is going to add a little bit of a kind of like a wrinkle or fullness, but you're going to love having it. Right. So, all right, and so the other thing I'm going to do is probably add a yoke seam back here, and I kind of wanted to look and see. I kind of wanted it to be roughly where the one in the front is, so I wanted to mark that. Is that where I want that? I gotta be careful. The Sharpie goes right through the fabric. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drastically alter the fit of the hood. I marked my waist casing. And see, on the form, I would have put that right here. But on me, it's way down here. So, I might change the length. Hip, sleeve lift, hood. Oh, and I'm going to change the front pockets to welts. Sorry, I'm doing it. All right, you guys ready? Let's do it. Okay. I did a lot of prep, so it shouldn't be too excruciating. I always feel like I'm forcing you guys to do things. I have to remind myself you're here of your own volition. All right, so let's move the keyboard. Lots of nice white screen. So I think the first thing I'll do, I cut my paper out already so that it would be faster and less noisy. I don't really want to change the pattern pieces that came in the envelope, so I'm going to make new ones. Usually I'm pretty cavalier, I admit, and I just change the pattern pieces, but it's usually on a garment that I'm gonna make over and over, and I know the changes I'm gonna make, I probably really won't need to, you know, go back to the original. So I'm going to first drop a nice straight line with my little short ruler here. I said that because it's kind of hard to get a nice straight line with a short ruler. So I'm sticking with the 16, and I think that's also why it's so long on me. And you know, I was looking at the finished measurements. There's a few things about this pattern I really wish it had. I wish it had a center line on the fronts. I wish it had the waistline written on there, because this is not necessarily the waistline. And I really wish it would have what the hem length is. And for the finished measurements, it just says back length. Finished measurements. Back length. For the 16, it says 24 1/4. I don't know what they're talking about, because I can't get anything to measure 24 1/4. So let's say I go to the back, center back neck. That's 24 1/4. I'm not like barely off it. For me, when you do it in like in a factory setting, I'm going right to the fabric after this, Penny. I'll be cutting it on Thursday. We'll start sewing in a week from today. You would do your length measurements from the shoulder. That means the 24 1/4 is like right here. So I don't know what that means. Back length. Do you guys know? I don't know. The weird thing is, it only grades by 1/4 of an inch. And it would never do that. It would grade by an inch at least. Inch on the larger sizes, maybe 1 1/4. Right, Nancy? I think that's weird too. So I can't figure it out. Because otherwise I could figure out like what the seam allowance is for the hem allowance. And I can't tell that by the instructions as well. There's 5/8 inch seam allowance on the thing. Maybe if I looked at the original pattern, because mine's lined. But I want to know, besides the hem allowance, is it turning up like an inch? 1.5 inches? I want to know how much to trim off to get my length. I actually don't know how much to lengthen and shorten it because I don't know those numbers, you know? So I can't figure that out. And I've skimmed it. I haven't read it verbatim. I admit that, but you know, it's 25 pages. Neck to waist. Yeah, but they don't mark the waist on here either. That doesn't say waistline. That's just a lengthen and shorten line. They are not the same thing. You can put them in the same spot, but it doesn't mean it is unless it says it is. Because look at this. If this is the waistline, it doesn't line up with all these notches here. That is probably the waistline. So yeah, I don't know. And if that's it, then it doesn't work for that either. That's only 17 1/4. And the other thing is, yeah. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. All right. So I'm just gonna trace this off with my tracing wheel. And if you don't know what this is, it's just a little spiky wheel, super spiky. It's not the kind you get like for doing must have been carbon copying. I don't know really. I never had one of those, but people show me those and I'm like, oh, I don't know what that. Wait a minute. I took my weight off and now it's inaccurate. Tissue paper, man. Oi. Okay. I barely have my paper on here, man. Okay. I want to know which lines to follow. I don't know why there's 2 notches here, but... or 3 notches, basically. The other thing that I don't think is on here is the waist casing. Okay, here's my thing. Like, I think that would be interesting, Nancy. And they probably would say, oh, you should go to their blog. You should check out their step-by-step. I know this is going to sound really bratty, but I should not have to leave the pattern instructions to find anything out about this. That I know that probably sounds like I'm being really bratty by saying it, but we're all thinking it, right? We are all thinking it. I did so much research for this project, and the fact that I still have, I have to still go through all the other questions that we always have, right, for every pattern. So I'm feeling a little bit like I just want to get to the sewing room. I don't want to have to look at blogs, videos, or anything. And let's not forget, I'm fully capable. But so why don't I have the information? I'm so snarky these days. I can't believe it. This is normal me, though. I'm not that not snarky. I'm pretty snarky. Okay. I don't understand what those notches are. I know what that is, but they're just so close together. Okay, so I'm going to put my yoke on here. I'm going to measure down. I'll put it like 7. Ah, hate it when it goes through the notches. Alright, so what I'll do is I'm going to cut this one out down here. And then this one out right here. Hi, Walter. Yeah, right, Allison? That's pretty true, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and I think I actually really like closet case and closet core patterns because I like the styles they do, and I feel like they're really well-made patterns. There's just an element of sparseness to them that I don't really like. I'm going to cheat and use my rotary knife. I really like using my pattern scissors on thicker paper. They feel a little overbearing on the really thin paper. Yeah, exactly, Sydney. Yeah, I mean, I think like if even if it's really well explained and people are just like, I still don't really understand how to do a sleeve placket. I've never seen this before, and having a visual is really nice. But like the zipper, the whole center front zipper thing, that is that was really confusing for me. In fact, I was like, oh, I get it. And then that wasn't it either. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. And I sewed it that way. That wasn't it either. So, partly that was because of what they called the pattern pieces. They have every right to name them whatever they are, but they weren't, that's not what I would have ever called them. So it just confused me. And so, you know, it's not their fault, right? I mean, anyway. Oops. Just getting a little piece of scrap paper here. All right. No, see, this is why I don't like cutting with the rotary knife on paper. It's actually pretty hard to be accurate because you're pushing against your ruler and you shouldn't be. But if you don't, then you might veer to the right. So it's kind of a subtle balance, you know. And I don't usually cut patterns out with a rotary knife, ever. Except the first patterns in the paper, the lightweight. Yeah, I think for the zipper, it would have been really nice if there was a picture of actually what it looked like. And then that would have helped me understand what I needed it to be. I don't know if that would have helped other people, so like, since I think we all sort of do things differently. That's interesting. This is really the line. I can see through the paper that my line is below right here, so I'm just going to make sure I got the full 5/8 of an inch on there. Okay. All right, so now mine has a yoke seam. Yeah, that's so true, Nancy. So true, Sydney. Yeah, right, Nancy. I think, like, I bet that they picked those terms because they didn't want to use terms that were unfamiliar to others. Because I was thinking, like, I don't remember what they call a lot of these pieces facings, but they're not. This is a flap. This is an extension. This is an underfacing. This right here is like a, I would call this the left front under flap. It is not called that. In fact, I started writing on the pattern pieces and I had to like label them. It was hecka easy to sew though. Once I figured it out, I was like, okay, I think I got it. And at first I sewed it and I actually had this right here folding along this other line. And so it was coming out from here and I was like, what the heck? Why is this curve wrong? So I just did it wrong the first time. Okay, so here's my new back. And I need to add to the hip width still, which I should have done before I cut it out, but I was too busy griping. Right, Sydney? Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because I worked so hard on that exact thing because I had to be able to convey how to sew something with the fewest words possible that was precisely what it meant, and it meant nothing else. And it's also one of the downfalls to the patterns I sell when they go to testing is that the instructions aren't sparse, but the way I explain it is almost not complete grammatically correct English, you know, because I'll skip some of the connecting words, forgetting. It's just like I slip into that kind of weird speak. You're like, what's she doing? I'm just making a long piece of paper. I think I'm going to add to the hip circumference, like in the middle, not in the middle of the back, but on the side, which means it'll add it in two places on the back, you know, on the left and the right. And it'll be a little more evenly distributed, not just in the center back. You know? Hi, Alicia, how's it going? So I think I'm going to add it like right about here. It doesn't have to be a perfectly parallel line to center back, just something that's roughly straight. So I'm just opening my hip up in the back only. That's what I'm doing here. I didn't really need it up there. And since I wanted to simplify the back construction of the yoke and not have the pleated one, I actually got off stream and I went, oh my gosh, I forgot this has a back yoke. This is the problem. I forgot to include the fact that the yoke is on there, and the yoke is the true finished size of the garment, whereas the lower back is pleated. So what I thought was happening was that this yoke that they give you, I don't know where, oh, here it is. I thought what it is, because if you lay this on here, it's really hard to get it to lay on there perfectly. And so what I thought when I saw this over here, I was like, what is going on over here? I thought, oh, it's because the back is actually bigger. And what you do is you sew it in here, and then it creates a pleat under here. That's what I thought was going on. And then I was like, but that actually doesn't give you more space because you've fixed the yoke straight across the back. And then I looked at the sewing instructions and I was like, oh no, you attach this to this. So this pleat is purely decoration, which is really cool. But I think when I used the wax, I just didn't want to have to worry about under here. I think the wax could do it. I just thought, I don't really need it. So I'm taking it out and using it, since I add a seam there now, it's a really nice place to add a lower hip adjustment. So So then I was like, oh darn, that's not what it was. So let's see. I think I'm gonna add like an 1.5 inches back there, I think. So I'm adding 3/4 there, and because this is cut on the fold, it will end up being an 1.5 inches. So I just need to do this exact same thing to the lining so that they still sew together along the bottom. This is when you're doing something lined, you're trying to affect as few seams as possible, unless you really want to get into it, you know. So let's smooth this out here, like that. Voila. Okay, and let's I'm an over taper. I got yelled at once for not taping all my edges down. You just don't ever come back from that, you know? But it does make your pattern way better and stay more accurate longer. So it's better to be an over taper than an under taper. Someday I will balk at spending as much as I do on tape, but I just buy a big pack. Okay. Plus, look at it. It makes my pattern sturdy. It doesn't catch on anything. You can literally lose little pieces if you don't tape enough, you know. So now that is that, and I really want a center notch here and here and here. And now we're just going to do it to our lining really quick. Try and keep track of my pieces. These are done. Don't touch these. These need to be fixed. So there's this little pleat here for movement inside your jacket with the lining. I probably could just extend it down, honestly. Let's see. Where's this land? This is probably 5/8 inch past that notch, I guess. Yeah, so and this right here is about 1 1/8 inch. So I could add it right there, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. So I could just add it right here too. It's the lining. So we'll just tape a little piece here. And we do this because the lining hem sews to the outer jacket. So you gotta like make that amount right there the exact same amount as it is that it's going to, right? This is the 16. You know what's interesting about the lining pieces is the dotted line for the size is a different dotted line than the blue paper. I just noticed that. So on the pattern that comes in the envelope, the 16 is a solid line. On here it is not. And there's a couple times that it caught me and I realized now that's what it was. So subtle, those weird little cues you get stuck in your head, you know. So I only printed out on the lining 3 sizes. That's why you're only seeing 3 sizes on here. So on the expansion pack for the lining, which is only $8, it's only PDF, but it's in layers, so you can pick which layers you want to print out. So I printed out the 14, 16, and 18. I'm going to cut the 18 off, so because all my other pieces have been cut out. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally cut on the outermost line since I'm only seeing 3 lines. I'm just trying to make it clear. Oh, the Elliott's are cute. Yeah, the lining gets sewn to it and pleats up. Like it's pleated under there. Oh, cool, Karen. Nice. Is that from Needle Sharp? All right, so I want to make sure that I don't cut that line off that I just added, because I'd be so sad. This is a lot of fabric, and I know I got a little extra, but I wouldn't be able to cut this piece again. I don't think I got that much extra. Yeah, that'll remind me, right? Let's hope so. So my mom was asking for a lightweight robe. She just wants like a little knee-length lightweight robe. And I was thinking I could do the Wixton for her or the Suki, but I don't think she's going to like those armholes. Maybe the Wixton would work. But you know how the Suki has a really big armhole? I think that will bug her. So are there any others besides the Wixton, you guys? Hey, Terry. Nice to see you. Did, Karen, when you wrote Kelly, did it autocorrect to Jelly? Because that always does that to me. Okay, so I don't need this back yoke, so I'm just going to set it aside. I don't need my old back. So I'm just trying to be really methodical and set myself up for next week. So I also want to add a chest pocket to the lining so that I have my 2 hand pockets here, and then I can also slip something in like my glasses or something. It did. That's so funny. Okay. I'm going to draft a little pocket. I was just looking. I have these, I have a few pattern pieces over here that they're like my go-tos. I have a hand pocket. I have a fly shield. I have a Welt pocket, but it's actually on the table now. So that's what I'm going to use today. A sew over it robe. Oh, Tazzy jacket. I'm going to write these down. So, DIY. Tazzy. Sew over it. Robe. Made for mermaids. Spencer. I like mermaid without the I, actually. Alright. I'm just gonna do a quick little pocket. Something like 6 inches wide, 7 inches long. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about right. Here, I'll just use this. I'm trying to use these more. They're so handy. Gosh. They're just such an optical illusion looking at these really thick rulers, Something. I'm going to add like a 1.25 inch seam allowance or hem allowance. That's maybe a 1/2 inch in width just to make sure. I don't mind it being a little big. Dolman, the Rita, okay. Sylvia, oh, okay, cool, Sylvia. I might just use the Wixton because I have it. That was sew over it, Sylvia. And the Rita. The Rita and the Spencer, are those like homages to like movie star women? Like Rita Hayworth? Or maybe even just movie stars in general. Spencer Tracy. let's see. I think that I would put this about like 9 inches down. Square it with my line there. Somewhere like that. And yeah, I think like 2 inches from the center front. So let's say, I don't actually know where this is though. There's no center front on here. And the center front could be beyond it. So I'm going to just do it right here. I'm going really fast today. 5.5, 5 inches about right here. Okay. And that's the left front only. All right, so now we have our lining piece, lining pocket. We're getting to the good stuff. All right, so let's talk about the sleeve here. So when you get the lining expansion pack, you have to cut out the, if you want the sleeve in the lining version, you have to cut out that sleeve, so that one's not on the paper from the package. So this is my outer, and this is my lining, and you can see these are blue, and that's black. I don't think you can see that even on screen, because the, that just doesn't show up. Oh, okay, Sydney, that's interesting. It just kind of like instantly seems so, nostalgic? Is that the word? So I'm going to add a lift. I've actually never done it on a 2-piece sleeve like this. So that'll be interesting. But there's lots of ways to add to a sleeve's fit. Alright, I'm not an expert in sleeve fit. I just know a lot. I just know that, you know, because I've had to deal with the fit of a sleeve for years. It would be so amazing if you were to specialize in anything, to specialize in the fit of pants and the fit of sleeves, which are both bifurcated patterns. There's cylinders going to other cylinders. And so you could, depending on what your fit issue is, say you're just feeling like really tight through here. I see this so often in like beginner designed garments. They will take out all of the ease in the sleeve. They're like, I'm going to be a pattern designer. I'm going to take out this ease because it's easier to sew. I don't know why they do it. That's what I always think. And then they realize like you can't lift your arm up if the whole garment goes up and then the shoulder sits above you like this. You lift your arm up and that happens. It just hovers above you. That's because there's not enough ease through your bicep. A bigger armhole doesn't make your sleeve fit better, or be looser is not fitting better at all. So I'm going to explain what a lift is. And so looser, sometimes what happens is because it will take this circle going around your arm away from the arm itself, it puts that pivot point way out here. So when you start thinking about it that way, I'm putting the pivot point of something that's moving way out here, it's going to start pulling from here. So ideally, you kind of want an armhole that fits really close. Oh my gosh, Ray. You're awesome. I forgot to thank you guys at the end for the donations last time. Thank you so much. Woo woo. You're getting called away. You're so popular. So ideally you want an armhole that's close to the arm to give you the most freedom of motion, right? So look at a knit garment, right? If a knit garment is really tight, you can still move your arm around because it's really close, but it's also stretchy. So, but if you want your sleeve to allow for room, there it is, thank you. If you want room inside the garment also because you're wearing layers, or maybe you don't want a tight fitting garment or whatever, you're gonna have to increase the sleeve in subtle ways all the way around. Now, this sleeve actually fits me pretty darn good. It feels very comfortable. I don't feel constrained, but I want to be able to wear sweaters. This is kind of a funny little sweater I'm wearing, but I had to reach in and grab the sleeve. And I would probably have to do this anyway because look at how wide my cuff is, you know? But say I'm just wearing like a little sweater or sweatshirt or long sleeve, like a, you know, just a button down, and something lightweight over that. I want to be able to wear that under my raincoat. And it still feels pretty good, but I don't like that when I lift, I'm feeling like the whole jacket's kind of coming with me. And that's where you can add the lift. So basically what you're doing, and Sydney probably missed this when I was talking about it at the beginning because she had us muted. Where's my mouse? So the lift, if you want to think about it on the garment, so right now if I just lift up my sleeve and I don't pull, right, it's fine, right? But what if I want to lift my arm up higher? So what if we cut this apart right here? You know, we can just do a visual. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically add the equivalent of a gusset, but it's going to be on the sleeve and on the body. So if I, you know, cut right here, it's all of a sudden I can raise it up a little bit more, right? Without lifting up the whole garment, right? And so that's what I'm going to do. And I do this on blouses too. So the only thing that the negatives with this is you're adding fabric right here. And if you go overboard, it's going to be obvious that your sleeve's a little bit baggy in a way. You'll have a little bit of, because you're putting extra fabric here, right? So where's that fabric going when you're laying your arm down? It's going to be in there. You know, so you don't add too much. The most I've added ever is like 1.5 inches, and that was a lot. Maybe I added 2 inches once, and it is a lot, but it does help. So, but it's just really nice because, you know, if we lift this arm up, that's as far as we can go, and then the whole garment comes. You know, and this one, it's like kind of hard to compare them. I don't know if you can even see that, but you know, this one just comes a little bit further. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to add like, you know, like, and when I say 1.5 inches, I added, I think 1.5 inches to each piece, which is kind of, that's 3 inches. It's a lot of fabric. So I think what I'm going to do here is just add like 3/4 of an inch. So it would be a total of 1.5 inches extra. Still kind of a lot. And then you blend it to nothing kind of by the time it's, you know, getting into that part of the sleeve where you ease into it. Like I said, I've actually never done it on a 2-piece sleeve. So, and I used to do this on this little button-down blouse I wore all the time. I would make tons of them. In fact, my friend finally asked me for the pattern and like, and I would make it, like I got a contract to do Hawaiian shirts for my husband's business, not his business, but where he worked. They needed like 150 Hawaiian shirts for the whole staff for something. And I knew them and they were like, hey, would you do this? I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And so, I didn't just give the men and women the same Hawaiian shirt. I made one, I used mine for the women. And I got so many women saying, I just want to wear this shirt in something besides Hawaiian. Like I love the shirt. And it's, you know, I added lift and it was darted, so it had shape, and it wasn't a man's boxy shirt on them. So, which is a look if you want that, but baggier is also kind of a hindrance. So let's see. So, oh, I knew it. Okay, here's my other gripe. This is literally the right upper sleeve and the left bottom sleeve. Because look, why did I do this? Basically, this is how the sleeve is supposed to. Oh, you can't see, sorry. So here we go. So this is a 2-piece sleeve. So meaning a 2-piece sleeve, whereas usually the underarm seam is right here, and then this half would be attached to the back, and this half would be attached to the front. This is what I'm talking about. The sleeve is actually, this is the right sleeve, And this is the left sleeve. That's such a pet peeve for me. I don't think people understand that some of us are pattern drafters, or even like sewists, they're doing pattern work. It's the same on this one. Yeah, because this is fabric, lining. Yeah. Yeah, right, Allison? Yeah, I know. And you have to actually assemble the sleeve and then set it into the garment on this. You can't do the trick of sewing the sleeve to the body and then doing the whole long underarm. Yeah, so yeah, it's backwards. You just gotta see these notches, and that's how I knew instantly. This is how it's supposed to look. Really, really annoying, because now I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so this would be, you know, like say we had our sleeve back, you know. Usually, it's going to be kind of hard because this is they have the dart in there right here, so you have this nice extra bit there, so it makes it fit a lot nicer. So this right here is over here, and this half would be on this side of the sleeve. You would add your little bit, 3/4, blend it in, make them symmetrical, and then you do the same thing on the body of the garment. So I still have to do that on the back and the front. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit. Maybe I can even taper this and not even affect this piece right here. I think that that's the ideal goal. Yeah, right, exactly. I usually do. Or at least draw it on the back side. So many people do this in patterns. Big companies, small companies. I don't know why that is. The other thing that people do, in fact, they don't on this. This is the funny thing, is that the bodice is correct on this. A lot of times what you see is a right front and a left back. And so when you go to put the shoulders together, like say you're trying to measure your armhole, you're like, oh, I have to flip this pattern piece. No, it's just, I think it's really funny, Walter, but I think it's because, this is kind of a funny reason, but I think it's because when you're in design school, you always draft the right side of the body. So as you're looking at it, this side right here, you always draft this side of the body, right? You drape this side, you do all your pattern adjustments for this side of the body, and then you do the mirror for the other side, right? So you look at the front bodice so much when you're learning and in design school. It's very easy to lay this piece down and flip it with the neck there. So I think that's why, is that what they do is they look at the back on this side and the front on this side. Does that make sense? It's so unconscious that they do it. Yeah, that wouldn't make a difference sitting. And you know what? You would never do it to compromise the pattern like that. You'd never do it in production. Woo, boy. They're not in production. It's not fair to me to apply home mechanics on, manufacturing mechanics on home patterns. But this kind of thing, if you're talking about doing fit and all that other stuff, you have to have a full left side or a full right side. Yeah, it's a completely, there's no intentional reason to do it. You would never, ever do it. It'd be like handing you a left glove and a right shoe, like you can't, or like a left sock and a right shoe, if you had that kind of thing going on, you can't put the two together unless one's inside out. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, they so know to do that. And I think like visually, I think it's just a really weird subconscious thing. Visually looking at this looks Correct. Oh, my front's on the right. My back's on the left. My front's on the right. My back's on the left. Do you see that now, what I mean? But that's not how it goes together. I'm not criticizing them. It's just a subconscious thing. I see it all the time. So, it is a criticism in general. I don't think they do it intentional. In fact, I think if someone pointed out that, they would probably be like, oh, whoops. Oh, shoot. But it is really annoying for me because I actually do pattern adjustments on my patterns. Oh yeah, I think I can blend this in, no problem. Do I want more? Nah, I don't think I want more. I just want a little bit. Just a little bit. So I'm going to just do it to 0 there. And now I'm going to check the transition here and see how it is. So that would be like that. Oh, that looks pretty good. This is the transition. Yeah, exactly, Ray. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys. Would you like that? Yeah, I made a few decisions lately that I'm going to be a little more candid about how I feel about certain things like this and just point them out. They don't pay me. Okay. Let's look at this side over here. They don't pay me, and I've been thinking a lot about, like, I saw this job post recently. I just keep doing that. Oh, no, that was correct. I thought I did an 1.5 inches. I saw this job post recently, and I was like, that's interesting. Maybe I could do something on the side to generate a little bit of income, you know? And then I looked at it, and I was so disappointed because it so devalued the work. And I thought the way that the whole post was couched was, look, we can pay for this. And it wasn't like pattern testing or something like that. I think that's actually really nice and generous when companies do that. It was for an online magazine, and they needed, I think they had 3 positions, and they were all fashion related or clothing related, pattern, all that stuff. All things I was actually really qualified for. But then I saw the pay, and it was something like $20 an hour. And I thought, wait a minute. The minimum wage in California, I think, is $15. And if you're freelance, you get 33% taken out. So basically, it was barely above minimum wage. So they were expecting these positions to have all of this experience and expertise for a minimum wage job. This is exactly how bad information or misguided or inexperienced information gets into the world. And I will stand behind this because you can only hire someone who has this much experience. They are very well trained, they're very competent, they're very smart people, but they don't have the breadth of knowledge that it takes when you've been living and working in the industry you're trained for. Because all those other people are like, forget that. I get $75 an hour for doing that. I'm not going to take 20. Freelance with no benefits. Random hours of the month, 20 hours a month or something. I was like, oh, heck no. And I almost called him out on it because the person who posted it was like a social justice type of thing. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to go there. Because I feel like it's just like, I don't know why I rub people the wrong way. So I have big feelings about that. And this is why I started just deciding, I'm just going to be more honest. No one's paying me. I don't like, why not? Like, the people that have all the experience in the world, if they're not getting listened to or acknowledged or paid for their work, they just kind of quietly go off into the sunset. And then you have all these people that are super passionate and really creative and speak louder, giving out all the information based on this much experience. So, oh, you think it make the sleeve smaller? Well, we'll check it. Yeah, we'll check it. Because it could. But we can open it up a little bit. We can just slit it down here and go whoop. Because we don't really need to lose. Let's check it. Anyway, that's my high horse lately. You're welcome to jump on my high horse with me or just be like, yeah, get back to the pattern work. I'm just drawing my seam allowance on here so that I can measure on the seam line so we can check it. Let's see how much it changed. So the old amount here is 7.5. Oh, the new. Sorry. I keep meaning to check out that little gizmo people talk about with that measures on the little roly curvy thing. So, yeah, right, Nancy, exactly. Yeah. Rub people the wrong way, and it's called good trouble. Yeah. Yeah, so... Okay, and the old one is 7.25. Let's double check it though, Sydney, because I got a lot of lines going on here. Oh, actually I'm wrong. I went to the wrong line. So it's 8 1/8. And the new one is 7.5. Okay. So, yeah, we lost 5/8 of an inch. So, if we want, what we can do is just open it up a little bit. And we're going to go to the hemline here. Wacky-doo. We're just whacking it apart. And granted, you know, this could have been a company that's based somewhere where the minimum wage is $7.50 an hour. And, you know, $20 an hour would be really great. And then that would be a really great, you know, resume building thing if someone's new. I don't know. It's just like... Right, Nancy? You better be careful. They might start hiring chimpanzees. They might be like, "Ooh, that's a good idea. Just think of the PR. That would be so fun." I have to admit, Nancy, I wouldn't mind watching that. Okay, so I lost 5/8 of an inch. So we'll put that right on the seam line, right here on the seam line. Line up this seam line to that because we're trying to lengthen that line. Now, I would recommend, if you really want to get into this type of fitting and you're kind of nervous about it, I would recommend sewing it both ways with this extra girth here and without, because I actually think that seems like a lot. And I can't really remember if it's really going to, because like I said, bigger is not always better. Here I am. I'm fully committing though, adding all this tape as I can. I'm compulsive about tape though. So maybe what I'll do is I'll cut and sew one of these sleeves before Wednesday and decide if I want that extra 5/8 in there. Because like I said, bigger is not always better. Closer fitting is better. And I wanted more length right here rather than more girth. Yeah, exactly, Sydney. Pay-wise, but they wanted the experience of someone. And I just thought, oh, the kind of thing this was for, the fact that it was like a online sewing related magazine. And it's so that is almost, it's not influencer, but it is that kind of like, we're telling you what the best stuff is and how the best way to do it is. Now you have it in print, and we just kind of like subconsciously hold print stuff, or even just like meaning journalistic, like a magazine, you know, we hold that as if it's written, it must be true. So I don't know. So much tape. Stop. I will never surrender my tape. I have just enough paper here to kind of blend this in. I'm such a know-it-all lately, huh? Sorry. Alright. I just need to cut off this line so it's not confusing. I'm just going to cut it out a little bit. I keep thinking I'm cutting on the wrong line because it's not solid. And rather than maybe being a pattern critic, I'll be a pattern critique. Oh, my first one was $3.25 an hour. Yeah, right, Ray. Yeah, totally. Adding a kind of like a gusset. Because I'm trying to get length this way without sewing in a gusset. And you know, if you look at like the really old patterns, not patterns, but garments from like the 1800s, it was a gusset in there because they cut all of their pattern pieces out by ripping the fabric, and so they were squares and rectangles. I'm not an expert on historical stuff, but I learned a lot about it when I was like going down that rabbit hole of sewing folkwear patterns. And so folkwear tries to make patterns that are historically accurate, but also sewn accurately. And so I've made the cheesemaker's smock, you know, and it would tell you in there, now this pattern originally was designed, or when they made this back in the 1800s or whatever, they didn't have, you know, like having scissors wouldn't have been a normal thing. So they would rip the pieces. So because they can't get a nice little sleeve shape, and you need this is why I don't like a kimono style block. You need that space in there. They would like cut this little square of paper. They would tear a piece of fabric into a square, and then you folded that over into a triangle. So now you have this like nice little stretchy bias triangle, and that would go right here, and then it would create like this little gusset. And the sewing of it was really interesting. It wasn't something that we would ever want to employ now as if it's like a better way to go. Oh, this is my line right here. I have not read that book, Allison. Oh, yeah, sand. I had one start leaking once. I taped it together with more tape. Yeah, right, Sydney, exactly. Wait, what's toothpaste tube? Terry's like, can we please stay on the topic? I guess if that works, Nancy. Some fabrics don't, though, you know. They just don't tear. If you can't see the grain line and you really need to know, that would probably help. I'm just checking out this transition here. I don't even need to draw the seam allowance on there because it's literally in these little shaped pieces. That looks pretty good. Okay. So let's add this 5/8 to this one. And this just has a seam allowance down here. too. This doesn't take that long to do. And if you have a sleeve or a shirt you really like and you're like, oh, I've added across the back, I've added to the bicep, and it's just still makes me feel kind of bound up. You might try doing this because it's really pretty easy. And I find that it's the easiest way to change the fit of a sleeve without dealing with the sleeve cap. And I'll get toothpaste tube and stapler sand. I missed something. All right, and then next I'm going to work on, okay, so I need to, wait, what did I do? Oh, I need to do the, I do need to do this on the front and the back. Okay. Yeah, right, Terry. Did I tell you what I did on my last one, Terry? And it's so funny because there's a guy who's been making Fairfields, and he's been commenting a lot and on the videos. And he said, "Oh my gosh, I just realized he put his left sleeve on his right armhole." And I have done that twice now on the Fairfield. Nothing else, but just the Fairfield. I need to go look, but I'm pretty sure that's the pattern that has double notches on the front and a single notch on the back. And so that's another thing, like, you don't ever mess with that. But I know we all ran across a pattern like that once, right? And I was like, oh, wait, the back is the single notch and the front is the double notch, and I was a little thrown off. I wonder if it's that pattern. I don't even look at it when I cut it out now. When I'm cutting that out, it's usually like secret Christmas sewing, and I just have music on. I'm doing it as fast as I can, and I'm not even looking at it anymore because I've sewn it so many times. And I'm so focused on making sure I cut those fronts upside down, because that's another problem with that pattern. And I've done that twice. And last year I did it on my husband's, and I not only sewed the left sleeve on the wrong side, I sewed it inside out because the flat fell seam was on the wrong side. Something like that. Hi, Eliza. Oh, right. Okay, got it, Sydney. Yeah, exactly. Okay. That makes sense. All right, so I'm going to add the same thing on my front and my back. Hopefully I don't need my yoke pieces, but I might. This is lining. Lining. Front, back. Why was it doing it in my old sleeves? I'm sorry. It's not even funny. I'm like, yep, I've done that. I know exactly how you did that, Terry. You cut your sleeves out individually, right? And you were like, you had your fabric open, you cut one sleeve, and you're like, oh, where do I put this other one? And you didn't flip it over. Been there, done that. Yeah, right, Penny? Yeah, right side. The pattern goes wrong side. Yeah, right side up on the wrong side of the fabric, or wrong side down on the right side of the fabric, but only the fronts. Pretty sure. Is that what it is? Are the sleeves like that too? That's what it is then. That's just, I'm sorry. Okay, so it looks like there's a little What's that dart? Why is it going right here? And not like down here? Huh. I don't know what that is. Cool. We're trusting, we're trusting. We did, when I did jackets, you gotta remember I did them in the outdoor world, not in like lined, you know, blazers and things like that. So maybe this is the thing. Okay, so I'm adding like 3/4 here, but I got a dart to deal with. So I'm going to close the dart. I'm going to close the dart like this. Almost as perfect as I can. Like this. Use some removable tape to hold it shut. And now we're going to blend in the armhole. That. Those darts making me a little nervous. I do that so that I get the, I still get the dart shape. I just want all this gone. Let's see here. I didn't even need this paper. Okay. Oh, I needed a little bit. I need a little bit right here. Oh, you did? Terry, that sounds cool. So, you know, I've been gearing up to sell my machines, and I think I might need the binding attachment for a project soon. And I was like, shoot, should I try and like rally and get this project done before I sell it? And I was like, I don't really have the time for that. And then I was like, ding, 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 I could just take the attachment off. It's a $35 attachment. I don't need to sell the machine with it. Someone most likely won't want it. This is kind of a weird dart. I don't really get it. Huh. I've never seen a dart like that before. Ever. Not point this way. Have you guys seen that before? Yeah, I should. Yeah, you're right, Terry. I should. Oh. Wrong side of the pattern goes against the wrong side of the fat. That's why I'm cutting my sleeves upside down. But then that means, I don't understand that. Why would you put it on the wrong side? Okay. Let's just trim off some of this here. So I don't get confused on what line I'm cutting later on. We're setting ourselves up to succeed next week. You know? It looks good when I do that, huh? Yeah. Yeah, this is the lining pattern. So I didn't have this on the form. I actually hadn't looked at this till today, to be honest. This font is so tiny that I realized that, like on here, on some of the pieces, it's so tiny. Look at that. And faded that I totally missed that I needed to cut 2 or whatever it was on fabric. So I need to pay attention more on that kind of stuff. So we're going to measure this armhole as well to see if I changed the length of it, like we did on the armhole. And if I did, I'll have to add it to the side seam. Okay. Yeah, should I do it before I cut it out? Probably. It's not easy doing this on camera, you know. Okay, let's measure our armhole. This is just the lining, but we would see a similar effect on the outer. It doesn't really matter. All right, so typically when I measure an armhole, it doesn't really matter that I do this, but I'm used to measuring it for a sleeve, and I will include the seam allowance. As long as you're consistent, right? It doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to measure this whole thing, stopping at the shoulder seam. So then this is like 10 3/4 minus new. This is 11 3/8 old. It got smaller then as well, right? 11 3/8 old. That's quite a bit. Yeah, it's like 5/8 as well. A generous 5/8. So we could add it to that. I'm just feeling a little bit like I don't really want to add much more, you know? Bigger's not always better. But I also don't really want to lose any in my sleeve circumference, technically. So let's see, let's add a little bit. Look at all this tape. Does this make you guys stressed out? Glorious tape. Imagine being the person to come up with tape. Okay, I just kind of botched that piece. Oh, I didn't need to use all this down here. Oh well. Okay, that's our back. I'm going to trust it's about the same issue on the front, so we'll just add it. It doesn't, honestly, one thing I should note, it wouldn't have actually mattered if that hadn't changed. You'd still have to add the 5/8. It has to match the sleeve, right? So whatever you add in length, it has to be the same. You kind of defeat yourself, exactly. Actually, I have to think about that. Like, is that logical? Let me think about that. So the one thing you don't want to do is measure your sleeve after you've made that adjustment. See if it fits on the armhole after you've made the adjustment and go, oh, it'll fit. Because you don't want to lose the ease on your sleeve. You still want that extra ease to ease in. You don't want to cheese it. And you know what I mean by cheese it, right? Like, don't take the easy way out. You still need that ease in your sleeve and your sleeve cap. This is kind of a bit too, I want to get my right angles back a little bit there. All this pattern work for one time sewing. It may not be perfect. We're not sewing like 10 to get it perfect, you know? Are they really, Sydney? How do you like to knit your sleeves? Do you do them in the round or do you do them flat? Yeah, are the kitties helping? I imagine not. I'm going to tape this a little bit. Sorry. I have a lot going on here. I forgot to tape the back. Plus, this is a PDF pattern. I don't really over tape on the back of a PDF pattern. Well, that would be nice. It looks like Snow White's house at my house lately. You look out my kitchen window, and now we have 3 bird feeders. We moved them all to right in front of the kitchen window because that's the place they seem to have been the most interested. And these are definitely birds that have never had a bird feeder before. So now they're just like addicted. And they're right in front where I wash dishes. And it's just a madhouse. There's 3 feeders. One's a suet feeder, and it's got dried mealworms in it. And then the squirrels are going crazy right now because it must be like mating season. And the variety of birds and the squirrels and, you know, sometimes you see other critters. It's like, it looks like Snow White lives there. It's pretty cool. Okay. Same thing, but these pieces originally had yolks, or they still do. But so I'm not sure I can blend in. Actually, let's just tape our whole thing here. Oh, right. So are you switching between like yarn balls so that they're matching color-wise as well? I've done that. The Lost Kitty, oh man, I didn't get all the way there. That's annoying. The Lost Kitty is doing really good. His name is Ollie. Ollie? Right? I just kind of second guessed that for a second there. But he's still really nervous to go in the house, in Cricket's little house. But he looks for her every day when she's coming home and everything. He's super cute. He's a big guy. Orange, super cute, loud purr, and he just loves being in her lap. She's over the moon. She just loves it. Ollie. The first one. Not Ollie, but Ollie. Right, Sydney? Oh, really, Penny? We starved them out a little bit so they would discover 2 of our feeders because they were right next to it and they weren't using it. So we didn't fill the one they really liked that they had gotten used to. And then once they found the other one, it was hilarious because it was such a different style. This whole new hierarchy started. It was pretty funny. So I think like I would go like this. Yeah, so let's get a little piece of paper in here. And let's extend this line here because that's not changing. And cut it off so I can see. Ah! Gosh, dang it. See, it's such an argument not to use a rotary knife. It's just not as accurate. Whoops, what am I doing? All right, so I need to... There it is. I guess that's where that goes. Why is that line... I'm trying to line my seam line up there. Oh, it's this. This is my seam. I can't see the blue line that's been cut off. That's why. Okay. Okay. If you want to be accurate, draw in your seam allowance. And I do. I'm never as accurate on camera as I am in without it because it's so distracting. I'm one of those people that has a hard time when other people are around concentrating. It's terrible, isn't it? Would that really do that? Would that really be there? I think so. Okay. But I don't really like that. It's just where this yoke line isn't ideal for adding my little sleeve lift. So when you have this like kind of thing right here, you don't ever leave that. What you do is at the seam allowance width. So right here, here's the seam allowance. Right here, right? Here's your seam line. From where that seam line hits the cut edge right there, you square it off. That's why you never see that kind of weird stuff. Like that. Okay. Yeah, that sweater does sound like worth the effort. We have a couple of hummingbird feeders, Terry. They like one more than the other. But I got my husband, I just saw it at the hardware store, and there was a little hummingbird swing. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get this. I got it for his stocking. It didn't fit in there, but, you know. They haven't discovered it yet. I'll keep you posted. Okay. So now that I have this piece here, I keep lining that up there. Now I can draw this line on here. Or maybe even just reiterate it. There we go. I cannot see my cutoff line. Dang. I don't want to accidentally cut on this line here. This is my line. You know? This adds so much right here. That's my problem with this. I feel like I'm lining this up in the wrong spot. Could I get this? Right, Terry? I'll let you know how it goes. I'm going to turn this over and look at it right side up. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. My a funny other thing that we got a long time ago is my mom and dad got our chickens a swing for the chickens. Chicken swing, you can Google it. There's like total YouTube videos on this chicken swing. The little roost, the little like part that the chicken would sit on, it looks like corn on the cob. Like it's just textured that way. So they never used it. I saw one once jump through and never landed on it. Yeah, the hummingbirds are really busy, I think, because it's harder to find things to eat this time of year. Yeah, see, I did have this wrong. Oh, wait. This was the line right here. I'm so confusing myself. This is my line. I line that up right there. There is a curve on this yoke. Can I get this to blend in a little sooner? Yes, I can. Like that. just looks really weird right here for me. This is when it's time for a different color ink. My problem is that I can't see the cut edge of my pattern, and then all this white right here, so this is my pattern piece. This is my pattern piece. This is my seam line. I have to say it out loud. Okay. Put this juncture right here on this juncture right here. I'm telling this to me. I know you guys all know what to do. There we go. Now. Sorry. I mean business. Where is my arm's eye? My little French curve is like this. It's like this old friend. Sometimes it appears and sometimes it's missing for a while because it's perfectly clear and I just can't see it. And I've had it since college, so it's sentimental. So I'll use the hip curve, which isn't nearly as good. Yeah, that's way better. That is my line, right? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, gilly dokily. Okay. Chop. Really, Terry? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Sydney. Here it starts turning into, it ferments because it gets so hot. We've moved on to different ink color. So what I should have done is laid my front and my back side seam on top of one and the other to make sure they still line up. And I forgot to do that. They gotta sew together, you know? You always gotta check your seams to make sure they still sew together. Fruit chat. I know, I'm so boring right now. Sorry. Okay. Soon I'm going to be making the, I'm almost done here with all this. The sleeve lift is easy. It's just a lot of pieces because it's a fully lined thing. But I'm going to be doing the welt pocket. I'm still feeling a little robbed that that pocket's not real. I'll get over it. The yoke wasn't real. The pleat on the yoke wasn't real. The pocket flap. I had expectations. Wham. I'm the Karen of sewing. Sorry, Karens. Okay. I'm gonna leave this out a little bit for my welt pocket. Last one. We're getting good at this, right? Right. Should have done all this before. Oh, yeah, rats are they're really bad. That's so nice, Sydney. I bet your kids love it. My mom has a kind of a similar setup, and she definitely is a squirrel feeder. You know, like she loves to feed the squirrels. It's pretty cute. We were at when I was at their house I had made them something for Christmas for their garage, and it was huge. And so I delivered it later on. And when we were there, we were standing at my car door, and this hummingbird was really mad at us because we were really close to the hummingbird feeder. But then the squirrel wanted to get to the squirrel feeder, so my truck was in between the two. I was feeling a little like, okay, I got it. I'll go, you know. It's pretty funny. She's trained them very well, and they're very, you know, they have expectations. This is how you normally would do this. You would add it there and then blend it in. So let's look at our side seam here, and then you would use one side seam to make the other side seam. This is proper. Just like this. I can just cut it based on this. I'm so glad I finally got this paper out. I'm gonna sell this or give away this little wide format printer I have. It's a plotter, not a printer. And the how do I want to do this? And I still had 2 rolls of paper that go with it. God, I'm doing this so backwards right now. But I couldn't find the box of them. I hadn't looked, to be honest. And so then I was like, it just popped in my head yesterday. I was like, oh, I know where that is. And I went right to it. And I had 2 rolls. And I was like, oh, okay, as long as I have 1 roll and there's 1 roll in the plotter, that's fine. Because it's kind of a nice little size roll to do pattern paper. So this is actually a roll of printer paper. Okay, so that was a lot faster. We're getting the hang of this. We know what we're doing sometimes. I'm literally doing like like a ton of changes to a pattern that you would spend a lot of time in a design room on. Really, Sydney? They swapped bottle. So wait, so they would bring him bottle caps? No, I'm going to write that down. My mom would love to see that. Oh. I bet you could, Terry. You just need to, I bet you need to do it right after they're born so you get the young ones that don't know better. Crow bottle caps. Because I don't remember anything after the stream. Oh, yeah. Sydney's right, Terry. Have you seen those? It's a hummingbird feeder for your finger. Imagine giving that to someone who is afraid of birds. All right, we're leaving that one out. Yeah, okay. Oh, I have the hood. Shoot, this is a long stream. I'm trying to keep it at 2 hours. Not going to happen. I'm just going to quickly go over my welt. So I'm going to replace the patch pockets on the jacket with a welt pocket. You don't have to do that. The patch pocket looks pretty straightforward. It does look a little like mentally a little bit like, a little gymnastic-y to figure out how that flap's going on there. But it looks like everyone finds it fairly straightforward, I think, is one of the things I've seen that. I just don't want to do it because I'm waterproofing my jacket and I don't want the patch pocket on the outside. I'd rather be able to drop my hands on the inside. It's not a raincoat. It's a jacket. So, but mine's going to be a raincoat. So I am just using the standard welt pattern that I have here, and I'll tell you my measurements if you want to follow along. I actually might make this a little bit deeper. So what I would look at is, pretty sure it'd be like right, the opening's like, yeah, it's like right here. So this is, you're going to have an upper pocket. You could totally use these exact dimensions and it'll be fine. I'm just going to make mine a tiny bit deeper. 7 7/8 wide. And for what we'll call your upper pocket, 8 1/4 inches long. And for your lower pocket, 6 1/8. For the welt, 6 7/8 by 2 1/2. The opening on the jacket will be 6 1/8 by 1/2. Pretty sure. Wait, yeah, this should be a 1/2 inch longer or a little more. So yeah, so that is a kind of a generic welt pocket. You have 2 pattern pieces, and you have your welt, and you have the hole in the jacket. I'm found that where the placement was for this pocket here seemed pretty good. I'm going to go with that for the placement of my welt, and I am going to do it on a diagonal. Now, if you're a little nervous about welts, you could just go straight down and do your welt pocket straight across. And I say that only because on the diagonal, it's going to get stretchy. So I'm going to interface that opening and reinforce it because I'm using a linen. I'm really setting myself up for a challenge there, but I like welt pockets a lot. I also think I'm going to utilize the flap over it. So it still looks like the Kelly Anorak. It'll just have a drop in welt. And I think the way I'm going to do that is, I was kind of playing around with this because this pattern piece is pretty interesting, because this is a flap that gets sewn to the patch pocket and then sits on the pocket. It's not functional, I don't think. So I was kind of playing around with it and folding it where I thought, and you can see your finished line there. This isn't wide enough to cover this whole pocket, and I don't want my pocket to lose any width because I like to put my wallet, which is kind of bulky, in my pocket. I don't have a purse. So I think what I'll do, because this has 1/4 inch seams. My welt pattern that I gave you is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So let's pretend like this has 1/4 inch seams. It's basically it's a 1/4 of an inch too small. You want this a little bigger. So what I would do is make this flat, like maybe cut it right here and put it, make it a little bigger. So let's see. This measures almost 5 7/8. So we'll say it's 5 3/4. And this measures, it's like 6 3/8. I was trying to do the math before I said that. So and what did I say? The 6 3/8 and 5 7/8. So it's a 1/2 inch different. I would add like 1 inch to this across. And I'm kind of just folding it just past that dot there. So you can just leave this whole piece and then maybe play around and position it. Because really what you want is, this welt's going to be half the width, right? Like this. It'll come from the bottom of the pocket. And I just want this flap to kind of just cover it and be decorative. So see, it's pretty narrow, right? That's all. And it just gets stitched to the top. All right, that's my welt tutorial. I'm more interested in dealing with my hood right now. And if you have welt questions when I'm sewing it, bring it on. Yeah, you're a little scared, Allison. All right, so my idea of that is, okay, so I've never sewn this, so I'm not quite sure, but obviously it looks like you sew this as a facing, and then maybe it turns down like this. So let's just look at that. Is this how does this go? Yes, this is the pocket facing. All right, so. All right, Allison, what if you made this piece right here without this, and maybe even shallower, like maybe like right here, right? Okay. You sewed this, like you hemmed this, maybe add a hem here or bind it or whatever. And then you lay it on this piece here. So now you have this top pocket there like this. and you leave it open. I don't know how you sew this though. This goes to the inside, so but yeah, maybe you, okay, so you sew this piece to here. I got it. You sew, I think I know how this goes together. So you sew this piece to this piece here. Lay your pocket on top here. And now go forward with the direction. So now you have a pocket on top and a pocket underneath. Or you make the one behind your hand warmer back here. And then what you could also do, because, are you following me? Because this piece here, this secondary piece, I need to draw. So the way I picture this is, you know, it's like a gusset, right? So then you have your other pocket behind it. And then the flap is coming over it. So what I think you could do, I'm terrible at drawing, but I think you could do is, you know, like when you lift up this flap, this could be the hand warmer or behind it could be the hand warmer. But because this little piece on top, this second pattern on top underneath the flap there, you could take this piece that's underneath it, stitch a cozy piece of fabric there. No one would see those stitch lines because now this piece is on top of it. And this is just your regular pocket that you're putting your keys in or whatever. But when you slip your hand back here, you'd have that cozy thing against the back of your hand. What do you think, Allison? I love the idea of doing that. The only reason I'm not doing that is because I want to waterproof my jacket and I don't want all these seams, this gusseted pocket. I feel like that would be a pretty serious like chink in the armor of it. You know? So what do you think of that? So basically you'd have a pattern piece like this, and then you'd have this, you'd have this, and then you'd also have a little piece of like fleece or something, you know, that's just stitched back there. It can just be like a little circle, it can be the whole piece or whatever. And you know what I've used before, because I did this in one of my tamaracks, is I used fleece upside down, like sweatshirt fleece, but it was a merino and Tencel. Super yummy. I got it at Needle Sharp. Yeah, Allison, I think you can do it. Just remember, if you're experimenting during the sewing process, you got to remember what you did for the other pocket. I would love to see that happen. I don't think it would be that hard, except I just don't really understand how this goes. This must like clean finish to this like this. And remember, you're going to attach the snap to this other piece right here, right? The second piece you just made. And then you're going to sew your fleece to the back of this one. No one's going to see it because this piece is going to cover it up. So. Oh, you cut it out to have a functional flap. Awesome. All right, so let's get my hood here. Okay. All right, so the things I did to this hood to make it fit better were I darted it right here at the center front, and it'll go to nothing at the center back hood panel. I turned back the seam allowance so I could see what it really finished, because it looked really big, and it was really big on me until I did this. Yeah, you got it, Allison? Be a fun thing to do, I think. And then I have a tiny little pleat right here. So this is what I love about muslin. You don't care what happens to it. It does feel wasteful, but it's more wasteful to make a whole jacket you don't ever wear. Oh, that crescent toe kit looks really cute. I just bought the Dawn jeans from them yesterday. I had a gift certificate that I forgot to use. So I was like, I'm getting the Dawn jeans. A lot of people want them. I have to say, I was looking at pictures of that pattern and they're going up her booty. Like a lot. Is that a thing? Like, is that a style people like right now? Because I keep seeing that with jeans and I'm like, Well, Allison, just try it on maybe, even if you tried it on paper, Allison. Sew on paper. And then try it out. Don't cut out your nice fabric or some muslin or something. Or does it say muslin on the screen or does it say muslin? I'm curious. Alright, so I'm just drawing the amount on the pleats. I'm going to check both sides. This is leftover fabric from chicken boots. It's not muslin. I just had a ton of it. It works great. It's the least distracting. So I don't really need to do the length, but maybe I will just kind of generally draw where I did this. Oh, there's a paint one? Yeah, it's a noodle head, isn't it? It's a noodle head design. It's very affordable because she's got it on sale right now. It's one of their, so I find it kind of hard to find the Dawn jeans. She had advertised them on Instagram, so I knew they were there somewhere. So if you go to their subscription boxes, that's one thing. But there's also the like to try it out box, and there's like a sewing kit box, and then there's one other kind, like other boxes. I can pull them up and tell you guys, but I found it in one of those other sections, not in the boxes, because they have like their monthly box, and then she has other boxes that you can get, like confident, fearless, indulgent, those, but they're just like all the time available. They're not just like a monthly theme. Kiwi. That's funny. I got that from my niece and nephew. I got the Tinker and the Kiwi. What was that? Oh, hello, So Delicious. Oh, that's a cute name. Oh my gosh, I saw someone liked my Facebook sewing Facebook page, and they're called Sewing with Cats. Ray, they're called Sewing with Cats. I tried to click on it and I couldn't find them, so I didn't get to Google it, so I'm gonna have to check it out. But they're called Sewing with Cats. Look at that. That's a huge amount. Ooh, that is a lot. What the what? 2 inches. 2 inches. How much is it over here? 1 3/4. Maybe 1 5/8. Okay. So let's split the difference. So we'll do like 1 3/4 plus. Me too, Nancy. Yeah, postal thing, man. It's a line toe the inner. Yeah. Okay. So I traced. Wait, I want to measure this amount. So then let's just write this down here. So we're gonna take 1 and what did I say it was? 1 and. So this is like 2 inches plus, and this one over here is 1 5/8. So yeah, we're gonna do 1 3/4, and we're gonna do it. I'm gonna measure down from this hood seam right here, and it's 5 5/8 on this side. 6 1/4 on this side. So we'll go to like 5 7/8. down from hood seam. You always got to do both sides if you're wearing both sides because it's really easy to skew it. Oh, so curious. Yeah, exactly. So if you go to, I think there's a tab called boxes and it's a little drop down. It just keep exploring all those and you'll find, like, that's where I found the Dawn jeans. So there's all these boxes in there that aren't in the others, in the like subscription boxes. I had almost given up and then I was like, oh, here it is. Oh my gosh, that's so much more than I thought. I thought I had this little tiny amount pinched there, but look at that. So that's about 7/8. All right. I think the only thing I haven't dealt with is the length of this jacket. Hi, Barbara. Nice to see you. The pattern is actually really simple. I'm making it a little more complicated like I do because I'm lining it. But even that, you assemble the lining, very simple. Very simple, simple, simple. And then you sew around the perimeter. And the way they have you do it is a little like a baby steps way to do it. But the jacket, I've been saying this from the beginning, like, really it just looks like there's a lot going on because of the hardware and the pockets. But it's pretty simple. I was going to show you the back. Oh, there's the back. I would say that this is like as complicated as sewing something like the Archer. And I think that's a really good way to put it. Just a little bit bigger. All right, so I transferred my pattern pieces to paper. See? So I can leave these alone. These are all my lining pieces that I'll have to deal with as well. All right, so these are my fabric pieces. I don't want to confuse them to my lining. Okay, so let's do this easy one, this little center hood panel here. We'll put it right in the center so that it's symmetrical. These are always kind of tricky because you kind of want to make sure the piece still stays symmetrical. The grain line looks to be in the center. That helps. Go up to the seam allowance. We're not going to change the neckline at all. That's why these changes are going to be easy peasy. And now we're going to that's it. That one's done. Oh, and thanks to Eliza and Louise, they did timestamps for 2 more patterns. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see. Eliza did, I have a list. Eliza, what did you just do? You just did the tamarack, right? Yeah. And then Louise just did the Cali shirt dress. So right now I have the Archer, the Fairfield, the Alcott, the lined Howery, the Caroline top and bottom, tamarack, the Cali shirt dress, the Mountain View pull-ons, and the Jutland pants. Man, Beverly's done 4 of these. Those all have timestamps now. It's pretty cool. Hey, Patricia, welcome, welcome. Oh, you're fine. Oh, really, Barbara? That's a bummer. I think there's other people that make button downs. Maybe you'd find one that fits you better, you know? I need a drink. I'm right now, if you're joining late, I am modifying the hood. I'm modifying this hood on the Kelly Anorak to fit me better. So there's that hood panel there, and we'll do it to this lining piece here. And this, I'm pretty sure that this gets sewn to this like this. Yes, like this. So this is the lining, and this is the piece. And so when you're really worried to make changes to patterns that have linings and you don't understand the logic of how they did it, what I do is I just do the exact same thing in the same place to the outer as I did to the lining. Because even I was like, I was trying to get this hood to lay on here perfectly, and I just couldn't. It is a little off. It even fits better now because my tracing job was probably a little bit sloppy. But the thing is, as long as I do the same things to it that I'm going to do to the other pieces, it should be fine. And so this right here, actually, this amount, I can see this little wedge right here. That's what I want to take off of this right here. So we're going to shave off. First of all, let's cut this at the size 16 line. We're going to take off. My pencil's not sharp anymore. Oh, that's fine, Sydney. I'm not trying to kill you guys. I'm just super excited. So yeah, so let's see. This is going to come across right here. Right here, right here. Let's find our new center line here. Okay, so we have our 5/8 inch seam, and then we have our 7/8. Right? 5/8 inch seam would land it right there on the original cut line there on the 7/8. I just want to find that taper. 2.5 plus right here, and that is 3/4 of an inch. So we'll just go down to 3/4 right here. So let's see, we'll just take it off here and here. Wait, we don't want that much. We want half as much. Woo! I almost made a big mistake. 3/8 plus and 3/8. There we go. That makes more sense. I'll still have to do this one right here at the face. So, all right. So now we have that. This is part way done. Let's do this one really quick here. And then all of the panel will be done. We'll just do the face. And then we're done with all of these. I'm sure I'll think of something that I need to adjust, but I'll let you know. All on the seam line, which is about right here, because here's my seam right there. Do it on the seam line. I'm going to go through a whole roll of tape today. Oh, man. I didn't get that very good, did I? See how far off it is. Alright. Okay, so now this hood panel, I said 1 3/4 an inch on each side, 5 7/8 down. So let's go down our seam allowance right there. So that's our hood seam right here. And then we'll go 5 7/8 down right here. And we're going to take out 1 3/4 inches. That's a lot. All right, so I'm just going to find the like halfway point here and slash and overlap. Okay, and then we're going to overlap our little notches that we made there. We're going to have to blend it back in. Look at that nice curve we're getting now. And I can always test this out if I want, you know. But see, it's a little more articulated. So it was hard not to kind of like, oh, I'm going to make this super tucky and make adjustments and all that. I really just want to be able to put it on and it be fine, you know, and I want to be able to turn my head and my hood move with me rather than my hood stay like this and my head turn like this. You know what I'm talking about, right? I hate that. And the reason like outdoor jackets have all those adjustments is because they can't make it fit you. They have to make it the ability to fit everybody. It is really large, Barbara. It's really big. Look at the hashtag. And so I took out some here and a tiny bit right here. And then I could still get it on and off, no problem. So, yeah. Like that. Just like that. That's all I'm going to do. So I like this kind of depth right here. This depth. Could I kind of like maybe shave a little out there? Maybe. But honestly, I started looking at that and I was like, this feels pretty good. And I want to make sure that I can still get it on and off. There's no draw cords in this. There's only the snap right here. There's also 5/8 of an inch here. So when you go to try yours on and it's sticking like down here, turn back that 5/8 if you don't. I hope you don't sew a lining when you do your muslin, but if you want, go ahead. Just get rid of that seam allowance so you have a really clear idea, because 5/8 is a lot, you know. And I was struggling because I was like, oh, if I make this so that it fits me really good, I lose the bit that's going to protect my face from the rain. So, and that's why jackets like have a bill, you know, like this one. This is exactly why this is cut away like that, right? So, look, it has a nice little cozy fleece collar. This has a storm flat, right? It even has a drain, not a drain, what's this called again? Well, whatever, it prevents water from getting in there. I can't remember what it's called. It's got a cool name. So you can see, like, naturally, this is what you need your hood to be like. You need, your face is right here, and you can't really have this, your face protected from water without something protruding off the top. But if you do that without making it separate, what happens is it covers up your side of your face and your peripheral. So this is a great hood. It's just, if you really want, look at how many pieces are involved with this hood. This jacket has a lot of pattern pieces. So it has the adjustability. It has this adjustability, so you can make it less like this, freeing up, you know, your vision. It has this, and it has this, like this. So you can really snug it down so where it's like this, and you've got full protection. I don't need mine to do all that. This is a lot of adjustment on it. But to be able to do that, because I can custom fit this hood to fit me, I don't really need all those possibilities for adjustment, you know? You just need those on jackets that are going to fit lots of people. So I can make this custom. But this little bump right here kind of makes me go, oh, I really want to shave that off. You never know, I might need it. Or maybe I want a ponytail or something. So I'm just going to leave it. I felt back there, put it on. I tried fiddling with it, and I was like, this is fine. No, I'm just going to leave it. So, all right, so that's done. So let's put this one in the same place. We are almost done. One and 3/4. standing on a shirt. What did I say? Plus. Okay, right here. You have to pivot at the seam line. Don't go all the way through. You will have problems. You will change the length of your seam. Yeah, right, Ray, ponytail. Which actually is kind of a problem for me sometimes. Like I do have problems with certain things like chairs, cars, when I have my hair out back there. All right, so I'm going to smooth out this little point that I created. Let's note it with a little bit of red so we don't accidentally, who, me? Cut the wrong line. I'm gonna put a little piece of tape back here and right here just to reinforce it. Okay. And we'll do the same on this one too, since we got a little gappity-doo there. I've been watching a streamer that does that a lot. Whoop-de-doo and howdy-doo and gappity-doo. Just rubbing off. Wow, waist length Ray. Holy moly, Ray. I think I'll go crazy about that. All right, so I'm going to cut this out so I can get my facing to be nice. So the best way to actually fit this facing, honestly, would be to do this. To lay on your pattern piece. Oh, let's right here. Let's cut this. You don't worry about your seam line here quite yet because, oh, thanks for following, Carolyn. Because this seam, this right here is this seam right here. So technically I removed too much right here. Just realized that. So this, because this seam right here on the hood lining, this is the hood lining. This doesn't go to the front here. It goes to here, like 2 inches away from the front. So let's make this piece match this one. I hope it does because when I was trying to lay it on earlier, they didn't quite line up. So sometimes it gets a little hard. You're doing a little more guesswork than you want to. See, like that. This curve is so different than this curve, and I don't think there's any reason for that. So, all right. So let's get the removable tape. Oh, that's awesome, Ray. Oh my gosh, Ray. Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot of loss. Even your hair, you know. All right, so let's get this looking kind of at this here. This is the hood seam. Was that the hood seam? It's not the hood seam. Why isn't there like a notch for where the hood? This must go to that right there, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so if this goes here, see, I'm lining the notch up right there. That better be where it goes. Messing around here. Here's my lining. I'm gonna draw on all my seam allowance there. Line up. Let's get rid of all this. So the wide end of this is your face. The narrow end is the neck of the center hood panel. So, like that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. What am I looking at here? Oh, because this goes here. Okay. Like this. Right? What the? Okay. It's a lot of work. I mean, mine isn't. I obviously don't do much to it. I was literally cutting the ends off today before I left, and I was like, yeah, maybe you should spend a little more time on this than this right now. Because when I saw the pile, I was like, oh, that is so, I know, uneven. Okay, so this piece goes to this piece here. So let's also remove this, because I kind of went as if that was the front of the face. And let's put in the seam allowance on this hood facing. And then another 5/8 to line it up to. Man, 5/8 seam allowance is so huge. Okay, let's line this up here. I found short hair to be a lot of work, though, to be honest. Like, I had to do my hair every day. All right, so now you can kind of see. Where's my, oh, here we go. Let's get all our pieces all lined up. They just better line up because they just didn't look like they did earlier. And I think that, you know, you got to remember the lining is only attached to the garment at the perimeter. It doesn't actually have to be perfectly the same, and it usually isn't. Sometimes the lining's a little bit smaller, and sometimes it's a little bit bigger. It just depends on where it's at, on what kind of garment. Like you saw that back, it has that little swoop at the center back to give like ease on the inside of the garment, because you kind of do need that. Even if it doesn't seem like logical that your lining would be bigger than the back, it does help. Like you are getting a little bit of movement in there. All right, and you also don't want your lining to pull on your jacket, because what if it doesn't get sewn perfectly? You wouldn't want your lining to be too small and then pull on your jacket, or too big and hanging out below, right? All right, let's get this attached to this piece here. Quarter. I always use removable tape for this kind of thing. And then my new center of this hood panel is this right here. Wish there was a notch right here. So I'm going to put one. That'll make it easier. All right, now we have this goes. We're just kind of sewing this together in a way. To find out a couple of things. So now we have our outer hood right there, and then this is our lining hood. Let's lay this on here. They don't get attached to the neckline to each other either. They only get attached at this front face edge. So now we can line this up here. That will line up our centers on our hood panels. That's nice, Nancy. Okay, center. because that notch now is over here. All right. Now remember, this piece sits further back. See this 1 1/4 of an inch line? I know it's probably really hard for you to see, especially because I still have some of this PDF printing guides on there. There we go. Okay. So this is the hood facing that sits just inside the hood. And it will go to the center here. So that's perfect right there. And let's get this lined up. So now what I'm doing is lining up this onto here. And I'm also adjusting how much I pivoted this. Just trying to keep it all the same. So now I'm looking at the center line here. Just right there. Not bad. It's a little bit narrower right here. I'm really surprised. Okay, so let's sink this down to what we want. And now we're good, right? This is fixed, just like that. I don't need to do anything else, right? Because this one gets sewn to this one here, goes around, gets sewn to this right here. I need that to match up on there. This needs to match up there. Yep, that's right. So I'm lining up this seam line on here. Perfect. Okay, I think we're good. The only thing I want to do is fill in this little tiny bit here. Yeah, what is it about that, Terry? The spouses liking longer hair, you know? All right, so this is fixed here like that. Oh, I put that. I already had tape on this piece, but it's on this side, so I need to cover it up. My hair, I figured out too, has an extra cowlick underneath. The short hair thing was entertaining. My hair is so bristly when it's that short. Let's smooth out this line here. I'm going to cut this extra paper off and then just kind of blend it as I go like that. This is removable tape. You can tell, the removable tape, you can see it's a little bit like fuzzy looking. It's not as clear. All right, we're good. We're good. This is removable tape. Didn't remove very well. It's our hood. Hood facing, lining. I got rid of so much you can't even see that it says lining anymore. Outer. Woo! That was fun, actually. I like that kind of stuff. All right. Now what? I think we're good now. The only thing I haven't affected is the length of my jacket. And I kind of want to think about that a little bit. Right now it's really long. So it's so long that to zip it up, I have to bend down and pull it up a little bit. So it feels like it's 3 inches too long, which is quite a bit. And I just want to make sure I know where the, because I don't know where it actually ends. Because if it turns up like 2.5 inches, that would be fine. But if it only turns up 1.5 inches, then I need to remove some. So, all right. So we've got our new hood. Yeah. Yes, these are all pieces here. All right, we are ready to go. A lot of pieces. I need to still sort out my flap here. But we're good. Ooh, sorry, I just bonked the mic. I probably bonked it a few times. Sorry, guys. Oh, really, Terry? That makes sense. Yeah, right, Nancy? Yeah, your winter coat's really long. I mean, it is nice. It is nice to have the extra warmth down right there, like in the kind of lower hip or upper thigh. But it just feels, it feels so much. Oh my gosh, Sydney. My family is pretty supportive of whatever I want to do. I find longer hair easier and I like being able to braid it and put it up. And having short hair, you don't really have that option. The funny thing is, I don't wear my hair up a lot because it gives me a headache. So, but my hair was so bristly it would poke me when I would lay in bed when it was that short. And that little cowlick drove me nuts. And those bedhead moments we wake up are hilarious. My husband would laugh at me most of the time I woke up. He's like, whoa, it's crazy today. I didn't like that. I didn't like that I had to wet it and do it every day. I hate taking showers and doing my hair and all that. I took one last night, which is so traditional in my family. They all take nighttime showers. My mom, my dad, my sister, all of them every night. And even my brother does sometimes. I do not do that. And I'm starting to like it because I don't like drying my hair after the shower. And I don't like taking showers in the morning. I'm like, oh gosh, this is a hereditary thing. I was the only one that took morning showers. It's kind of funny. My brother did too sometimes. All right, so I just need to figure out how big I want my flap for my welt. That's it. And the length of my jacket. I could probably just safely, use this lengthen and shorten line. Shorten it 2 inches and probably be good. All right, Walter. Adios, amigo. Yeah, see, Nancy, that's what I would do too. So yeah, you could just use that lengthen and shorten line, but remember you got to do it to your zipper facings and your zipper, all the zipper pieces, anything that's touching that, right? Got to do it to your lining if you're doing the lining. And that's, I think, all the pieces. So you have to do those 4 zipper pieces, your front, your back, your lining, front and back. And if you want to do it to your sleeve, same thing. So, all right, you guys. Well, this is fun. I'm really excited to cut this out next week. Cutting it Thursday and sewing it on Saturday. Starting to sew Saturday. I'm going to try and keep this to like 1.5 to 2 hour chunks of sewing. That might drag it out for some of you, but at the same time, I just don't want to rush it. So, and I'd like it to be in bite-sized chunks. Really, Allison? Oh my God. Bye, Ray. See ya. Fall asleep in the shower. I don't know about that. Need a colder shower, maybe. Cool. Well, this was fun. Thanks for putting up with my snarkiness. And I'll see you Thursday. I'm doing a lot of stuff here, so streaming 3 times a week is really hard right now. And I still have the Decades of Style. It's a really cool dress we got to make. Night, Charlie. Sleep well. Those are the only 2 streams I have planned right now. But I do have other projects planned, and I'm going to try and do more uploaded projects. There's 3 videos coming out on Sunday. I know that's a lot. They're all like 20 minutes or less. And they're all about neckline finishes. So maybe one will suit your needs. So that's tomorrow. 6 a.m. Eastern. They'll be out. They'll be up. So, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Nice to see you all. And I'm going to also do the monthly Zoom meetup again. I might send you guys an invite for that. If you're already on the Zoom list or you're a Patreon patron, you'll get an invite. Oh, good, Nancy. I'm not getting snarky. I'm just being more like transparent how I feel about certain things, and there's no hate for me. I have a tremendous amount of respect for all pattern drafters and pattern companies. It is really hard to please everybody. You really just can't. And there's a method to not a method to the madness. There's a reason behind usually why someone does that, and it may have just been the best way to go, and I totally respect that. But there's certain things that I'm just like, okay, I want a left and a left and a left and a right, you know. I want the whole pattern. Things like that, I'm like, that kind of bugs me. So, all right, you guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys Thursday. Where's my little thumbnail? There it is. Bye.